Hey everyone, today we're going to take a look at making pickled eggs using fermenting kits. And although it's a fermenting kit, I think it's still referred to as pickled eggs. So you've got 3 different kits: Perfect Pickler, Farm Curious, and Recap. I haven't used a Recap or Farm Curious yet. I've made 2 batches with the Perfect Pickler, but I am still very much a beginner when it comes to fermenting. So the recipe came from the Perfect Pickler website, and it calls for 16 ounces of cider vinegar and 12 ounces of jalapeno brine. So this is a 12-ounce jar of jalapenos, just regular store-bought. And you end up with about 8 ounces of brine once the jalapenos are eaten. And I made up the difference with more apple cider vinegar. So there's a dozen hard-cooked eggs, some fresh beets, a yellow onion, and these are canned beets. I'm going to try them for the first time simply because it would be easier to use canned beets. For the fresh beets, I have to make a trip to the store, so just going to give it a shot and see what happens. This is 4 teaspoons of sea salt, 4 tablespoons of sugar, and also for the first time I'm going to be trying turmeric or turmeric. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. That's 1 heaping teaspoon. Most recipes calls for half a teaspoon, but that spice is almost 2 years old, so I think it's lost quite a bit of its potency. Now for the fresh beets, you really only need 1, medium-sized beet. That would be more than enough. And with the onion, you only need 1, like medium to large. That would also be plenty. Now the recipe did call for adding jalapeno to the brine, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use onions and beets. So the process is pretty simple. You just need to mix the brine, which I've already done, and then add the sugar to the brine along with the salt. And you want to mix that till it's completely mixed together. And once that's done, you just take the beets and the eggs and you layer them into your jar. This is a wide mouth 1 pint mason jar. So I'm going to do that, and then you're going to pour your brine in on top of that. So I'm going to start layering the eggs with the beets and the onions, and once that's done, I'll come back and go to step 2. So I'll see you then. Okay, everything's been added to the jars, and it really is very simple. I mean, you're just taking your jar, you've got your beets, you've got your onions, you've got your eggs. You want to leave a good 3/4 of an inch of airspace on the top and make sure that the lip is clean. And at this point, depending on which fermenter you're using, some of them require, you can probably see the water there, you to add water to the airlock, and then you're just going to put the cap onto the airlock, and you want it snug. You don't have to crank it down too much, but you do want it, somewhat snug. And this is the Farm Curious that also uses water. You can see it there. The Recap does not use water. Put that on there. You just take the cap as it is and put it on top of the jar. At this point, you want to make sure that you mark your jars. I'm only going to be marking the one because they were made at the same time, so the date's going to be the same. And I'm going to mark this one as fresh, so I'll know that that one's the canned beets, and obviously that one's the turmeric. So they go right into the refrigerator for 5 to 6 days, and that's all there is to it. Once they're done, I'll bring them out and let you know what they look like and taste like. So I'll see you again in about a week. Okay, it's been 6 days and the pickled eggs should be ready. We've got the fresh beets, the turmeric, and the canned beets. So at this point, I'm just going to take the lids off of the jars and see what they look and taste like. So I'll finish doing that and I will be back in a couple of minutes. Okay, here's what the eggs ended up looking like. We've got the fresh beet, which is a nice magenta color, and the color extends to the inside of the egg. The canned beets were a little bit more of a mauve color, but not too bad, and they also extend to the inside of the eggs, And the turmeric came out a pretty nice yellow color, but it does not extend to the inside of the egg. Now, I'm not much of a food stylist, but I played around with making a little composed salad. And there's not much to it. It's just a couple of different kinds of lettuces, some spinach, a mini cucumber, cherry tomatoes, and then the pickled eggs. I'm sure you could do a much better job than I did, but it was just to give you an idea of what they look like in a salad. We actually don't eat them in salads, we just eat them plain. But anyway, at this point, you're going to want to put lids on the jars, and there's a couple of different options. If you're using the Farm Curious or the Recap fermenter, you can just take the airlock out of the lid and use the lid for storage. I think they keep for about a month. I'm not 100% sure. We don't usually have too many leftovers at this point. But I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere, but check into that. And then once you close the lid, it snaps into place. And that supposedly is airtight. Now with the Perfect Pickler, you can't really do that because their airlock is on the center of the lid. And once you take it out, it won't be airtight. So you have two options pretty much. When you bought your canning jar, it should have come with a metal lid, and you can use that. But what I did was I bought some plastic lids, and I prefer them for storage. So really, that's pretty much about all there is to making pickled eggs. It's not very difficult. You can make them any time of the year because they go into the refrigerator. So if it's really hot in the summertime, you don't have to worry about temperatures or anything like that. And I hope this little video helped to give you an idea of how to make the pickled eggs, and thanks for watching.